Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 50, aka the season 3 finale. It's kind of incredible that it's happening. It came fast for me. I can't believe it's almost over. I'm low-key grateful it is because this season has been a challenge. Technical challenges, this, that, and the other. Just getting this done has taken a lot out of us. But honestly, it's been a joy. That's why we keep doing it, because we love it. We love connecting with you. We love the feedback we've been getting. And yeah, so it's been I hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed when things are going right, making it. And even if you didn't, there's nothing you can do about it. But we hope you did. We hope you did. And we promise not to be gone. Well, let me not lie.
Don't promise anything that we can't keep.
Ideally, we won't be gone for 2 years next time. And yeah, I guess on with the show. For the last time this season.
Absolutely. So the South Korean president wants to ban the consumption of dog meat. Dog meat eating is not unusual in South Korea. It's not unusual, but many people don't seem to be fans of that any longer, especially the younger people.
Mm-hmm.
So the president is a known dog lover. He has a pet. And so the issue is actually really dear to his heart. A while back, he got a puppy from the North Korean leader. I think that was on TV. I seem to remember something vaguely like that. Of course, animal rights activists are happy about this. They are anti-dog, as you would imagine. And dogs are reared for food in South Korea, and unfortunately they live under terrible conditions. They're locked in cages, and they have to endure a lot of abuse. So that is not good. Now, of course, the dog farming community is not happy with this, and they claim it's reckless for the president to come out in public and say that people should not consume dog meat and people should be left alone to make their choices, right? There are about 1 million dogs slaughtered not daily.
Annually, good God.
I know, right? Slaughtered annually in about 3,000 dog farms across South Korea. And in a poll by Nielsen last year, 84% of South Koreans said they hadn't eaten or they would never eat dog meat. So there's definitely increasing pressure to see dogs as companions and not as food. But let me just say this. Who decides what is a pet and what is meant to be food? You just can't say because you find an animal cute, you're not going to eat it. We eat goat meat in Ghana. There are places you'd go and you say you eat goat meat. People look at you like, no, goats are pets. You shouldn't be eating things. Yeah. People eat horses. People eat cats. I don't think it really is on one person to say, you can't eat this because it's my pet. People have chickens as pets.
Yes, they do.
That's a bit of a dicey one.
Fish have always been pets for some people.
Right.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line?
That's my personal philosophy as well. Yeah. Everybody knows I love dogs, love horses, things like that. So it's upsetting, but I stopped short of saying don't do
it. Exactly.
I would rather, because there's an element of hypocrisy and cherry picking and saying, okay, you can kill these animals but not these other ones. Like cows have an inherent value. They have the right to exist. I'd be chewing on them all day long. Like chickens, fish, whatever. I think my personal philosophy is that stupid that I don't eat anything too cute. But again, I'm not going to I would never eat a rabbit because I'm just like, oh no. Well, I accidentally ate one in France, and they are because my host, I thought it was chicken. I thought it was a leg and thigh, and I'm eating. I'm like, this chicken tastes a bit different, and she's like, yeah, because it's not chicken, it's rabbit. And I literally had tears in my eyes, and she was like, girl, bye. Like she did not care in the slightest. She's like, so if it were a chicken, that'd be okay,
better, right? I guess the only thing really is to make sure that you're rearing the animals under humane conditions.
That is my thing.
That should be the main thing, really.
Will never pretend that I'm going to become vegetarian or vegan, but I do believe that you can treat animals ethically, that they can be happy relatively until the day that it's time for them to go in my stomach. I don't, and that's how we should do it. And it would make meat and everything a lot more expensive, but that I think should be the case. Now, obviously in the third world, that's a different story. But in the West, they overconsume meat altogether. There should be nothing like a $1 hamburger. It should never exist. It should never exist. Your meat should reflect the cost of what it takes and the fact that you're killing, you're taking another life to get this. And so if that means it's going to be 3 times expensive as it is now, well, we could all vary our diets more, eat more vegetables or whatever. That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
That, you know, to have free range farming or not, is the industrialization of life. You can't industrialize living creatures, and that's what they do. They put them in these terrible, I mean,
it's horrible.
It's terrible. Evil. So I try and get free range chicken, natural grazing cows. Sometimes it will tell you these cows come from the graze free and things like that, and that's how I try and eat. And I think, you know, so yeah, that's it.
That's basically
it's a great topic.
Something to think about for sure.
All right. Okay, so mine in the news is pretty tragic for a number of reasons. A Malawian former MP went to parliament offices and took his own life. He shot himself in the head. So I guess trigger warning. It's a bit late for that. But so Clement Chiwaya was an MP for 15 years, and he also served as Deputy Speaker of Parliament from 2014 to 2019. Now, he went to the offices of the clerk specifically because he had been in a protracted dispute with them over a vehicle. So as an MP, much like in Ghana, I suppose, you know, they probably do it similarly. You are given a official vehicle to use during your tenure. Now, at the end of your 4-year term, you have the option of buying the vehicle, because if you, as you know, in accounting, if you have vehicles on your books, they depreciate in value to 0 after 5 years. So then they'll sell it to you because the logic is the cost of maintenance will exceed the value of the car. It's not true though, but that's what they say, so they can treat themselves well. Anyway, so he was given the option to buy this car, which he then did. Now, the problem was they did not transfer the ownership documentation into his name. So he said he had been unable to register the vehicle, and, you know, he was having problems and unable to also get insurance. So he wasn't able, obviously, to use the car because you're the threat of police stopping you and all this, and you're driving uninsured and all this. And now another thing of note is that Clement Chiwaya was disabled. He was a wheelchair user due to having contracted polio as a child. So the vehicle was actually customized for him to be wheelchair accessible. This is something you had talked about just the other day. And so it was even more important for him to take this car because, you know, it had been customized for him. And so it was going on and on and on and on. And as of 2021, so this is 2 years later, he still didn't have this title. And so he went to the offices of the clerk of parliament and shot himself there. Tragic. Now, he actually left a suicide note as well, saying among other things that his heart and spirit had been brought down low, not because of the car, but because of the begging to get what belonged to him. And that has been depressing, and that to somebody else, this probably doesn't make sense, but he's just fed up. He's just tired. Now, I think in this one story are like a couple of things that I've touched on this season and probably in prior seasons. The first one being governments are useless. It should not take 2 years to transfer ownership of a vehicle from, you know, parliament or whatever to the individual. It just should not. It should not. They're ineffective, they're inefficient, they're just useless. Everything just drags on and on. Yeah. Second thing is, I'm sure that in there somewhere he feels degraded by his having been disabled, because it seems he's very sensitive to certain things, right? And part of that is probably because, for all we know, and this is all speculation, so, you know, I'm just, you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying maybe that people have not given him the respect he feels he deserves all these years as well. Another thing I think it touches on is the fact that, as I said, maybe last episode or the episode before, a lot of African people who, or not just Africans, but because I'm in Africa and see what's happening around here, I can say that once they enter government, they feel like they become the member of a royal family.
Right.
And I get the sneaking suspicion that life as a common floor member or just as a regular citizen was not to his liking. Once you've been honorable MP, boss, yes sir, blah 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 blah. The sheer, or having to do the kind of stuff that we would go through, right? Like you try and do anything, you go back and forth. You're like, oh, can you please do my thing for me?
Yeah,
I beg.
the
kind of we have to grovel every day just to get access to the stuff we're supposed to be getting. As we've talked about, trying to get vaccinated is pushing. Get the nurse's number and call her. Oh, so when will you guys be coming so that we know when to come? What time? Please call me. Oh, my sister, I'll give you something. You want to register your company? You want to get anything, right? Now, I get the feeling that he has enjoyed rarefied air all these years. He's never had to live like the rest of us.
And now he's going back. And
it was so bad. It was so traumatizing to live like a regular Malawian for 2 years. Well, not regular, because add to the fact that he has a disability. But being a normal citizen is that traumatizing that he's like, you know what?
I don't want to do it.
I can't do this. 2 years. Think about that. That is terrifying, actually. And should just tell you that we're all living on the edge here. We're suffering, man.
We really are. And then people say, but why are you complaining so much? Things are okay. Things are not okay. They really are. Now, recently, you need to register your SIM card. If you don't have a Ghana card, you can't register your SIM card. This morning, I tried to register my SIM card because there was a code. Did it work? Absolutely not.
And so now you're even trying to call the office. The phone line doesn't even work. So then you have to now look for somebody who works in the office to go and like sweet talk them. Can you please check? Because I want to, mind you, they've said that if you don't register the SIM, they'll turn it off. So anyway, I thought that story had like 7 layers of meaning in it, and it was very tragic and quite insightful as well. So anyway, that's my in the news. So may he rest well. I hope he's at peace now, but it shouldn't have come to this. It just shouldn't. So anyway.
Okay, and with that, we're on to Songs of the Week. Today, I've got 2 beautiful, talented Ghanaian artists.
Yay!
Yes, the first one is Cina Soul. I love Cina Soul. We love Cina Soul.
Friend of the show, Cina Soul. She don't know us, but friend of the show.
Absolutely. And the song is called Jamestown, and it is from her recently released 5-track EP called For Times We Lost. And the beginning of the song, Jamestown, she says, we are going to eat kenke in Jamestown. And that is a dream for me. Like, one of my favorite foods ever is kenke. So for me, that's like a love song. Of course, she says it in Ghana. My Ghana is very, very poor, so I will not be saying that in Ghana. And I guess it's just really paying, I don't know exactly what the words are in the song, but I guess it's just paying homage to Jamestown, basically, I guess. Listeners will know that I really love Cina. So like I've said, I still have videos from the Metanoia concert. I still have those, yes. So Cina Soul was born Christina Quincina Kwakupom, and she was a finalist of the 2014 Vodafone Ghana Music Icons. She's Ghanaian and she sings in both Ga and English. And she won the 2020 Vodafone Ghana Music Awards for Best Video for Killing Me. And 2019, she won the MTN Foresight Awards for Best Photography for Ojoli. And this song is really nice. It's sort of like a Jama song, so it's absolutely beautiful. Cina Soul for you with Jamestown. Second artist that I have for you is Ria Boss.
Ooh.
And I
Cat Mama. Shout out to Cat Mama Ria.
I have been sleeping on her, obviously, because I haven't heard any of her songs. But I decided to look into that, and the song that I have for you today is called Puissance, and that is strength in French, if I'm not wrong. And she immediately gives me neo-soul vibes. She's Ghanaian, Burkinabe, and she was born Maria Emmanuel Grace Bossman Damiba. And she's also called Cat Mama. Why is she called Cat Mama?
Because she's just obsessed with cats.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, the song Puissance is strength in French, and it's a beautiful bilingual track. She sings both in English and French. And like I said, it's really, really, really chill. It's from her EP Sample Plate. And I believe she's got about 8 other EPs under her belt. She's really a delight to listen to. I'm happy that I started listening to her. And she also has a song called Born Day Intro on I May Destroy You.
Oh, really?
Yes, good for her. On episode 7, which she actually produced, mixed, and mastered herself. So she's a quite
Yeah,
talented.
Ria's dope, man. She's dope.
Yeah, so I'm happy to listen to the rest of her songs. Puissance is really, really beautiful. You should check it out. And those are my two songs, Jamestown from Cina Soul and Puissance from Ria Boss.
Wonderful. Okay, and I have 3 songs as well, and I also decided to feature a Ghanaian artist since we're closing out. I wanted to go with Ghana. Exactly. And so the first song I have is called Pedestal, and it's by an artist called Paapa Versa. So Paapa, any of these sound effects at the time, I'm just like, what? So Paapa is a Ghanaian singer, songwriter, rapper, and instrumentalist. He started learning piano at age 5, which his dad taught him. And then later on, he taught himself guitar, drums, and saxophone. And he said when he was a child, he had a severe stammer. But when he was performing music, he didn't stammer. And so music became his refuge and his creative outlet. And he started writing down his thoughts when he was 12, and those eventually evolved into rap lyrics, which he put to the song that he was already producing himself. So he went to Ridge Church, and then he went to SOS College, which is just up the road. Eddie went there. It's for smart people. Yes, only smart, wealthy people can go.
Oh, please, don't stop the wealthy. Please. We're going to rob me a lot of money.
And then after high school, he met with J-So, who was a well-known producer and also label owner of Skillian's Records, and a friend of mine. So shout outs to J-So. His studio is also just up the road. And so, it was just like a vibing session, kind of like, I like your stuff, blah, blah, blah. And he looked up to him. But he ended up signing with Skillian's. And then he went off to college. He went to study economics at Reed University, which is on the west coast of the United States. Really cool school. And yeah, he describes his music as a fusion inspired by his musical influences, who include John Legend, Stevie Wonder, and Mali music. He's also a devout Christian, and he always makes sure that he imbues his music with upliftment and faith-based inspiration, themes, and messages. So he has 2 albums, I believe, so far, Solar and Songs for Kukwa. And he has at least 3 EPs, and the song Pedestal is off his latest EP, which came out in 2020, called Technical Difficulties Volume 3. Now, it's just a great song. Like, I thought it was interesting that he said Mali music was one of his inspirations, because the song kind of reminded me of something that Mali music would do. It's got, a nice piano riff in there, and and Pedestal is talking about how, I guess, being a Christian especially, but just being a public figure, that you're put on a pedestal, right? And he's like, we're just humans. Nobody is faultless or flawless. And so he was talking about how he doesn't want to ever be put on a pedestal, because all you can do from there is fall or disappoint or go down. So yeah, it's a really cool song. I really like it. Check out his other songs. I believe I listened to Songs for Kukwa when it came out, but I don't really remember. I just remember thinking his music was cool. So first song there. The second song is called Rare, and it's by Nas. So I'm not gonna. You know who Nas is. So Nasir bin Oludara Jones. He's 48 years old. He's a rapper from New York. He's not just a rapper. He's a legend, an icon of rap and music in general. His debut album Illmatic came out in 1994, and is probably one of the best rap albums of all time. And he's released 13 albums to date. And lately, he's been quite prolific, actually, because he went quiet for a while. But in the last 2 years, he's put out albums back to back, being King's Disease 1 and now King's Disease 2, which came out in 2021. And Rare is off King's Disease 2. And it's just, listen, it's Nas. It's a good song. Go listen to it. What can I tell you? All right. And my final song here is one of my favorite songs of all time. It's called Still, and it's by a group called Liquideep. So Liquideep is a South African duo comprising singer-songwriter Jonathan Hamilton and DJ and producer Thabo Shokgolo. and they formed in Johannesburg in 2007. Now, this is another example of me having said that I don't like electronic music, and yet I always listen to it because Liquideep's music is a combination of house and soul. I don't know if you remember that era where South African house was everywhere, much like Amapiano is now, and I think I actually prefer South African house to Amapiano for sure. So anyway, Jonathan had moved to South Africa in 2004 and was intrigued and like really inspired by the South African house scene. And a mutual friend introduced him to Thabo, and basically they started collaborating immediately. They've released 7 albums in total. They started with Liquideep Part 1 in 2008. But it's on their 3rd album called Fabrics of the Heart, which came out in 2010, that there's, basically went to a next level of fame. And that was propelled by this song called Still, which is the lead single off of that album. And it's just amazing. It's such a good song. It's such vibes, man. And so definitely check it out. Check out the entire Fabrics of the Heart album at the very least, because it's worth it. So going over my 3 songs, we have Pedestal by Paapa Versa, Rare by Nas, and Still by Liquideep, which is a love song actually. It says I'll always love you and I still love you. So shout outs to them. All right, that's it.
Okay, and with that, we're on to the end. Now, a Danish artist.
We have the same one. I was waiting for that to happen. It hasn't happened in a while.
I'm not surprised.
And this story was too lit.
Yeah.
I got my entire life. Okay, take it away.
Yeah, okay. So, a Danish artist was supposed to create a work of art. He's called Jens Hanning, and he was given $84,000 for it. He was supposed to do a recreation of his work, an average Danish annual income, and then an average Austrian annual income. And he was supposed to display the cash in the work. Now, he was of course told that the $84 was not meant for him. He was supposed to return the money once the exhibition was over. This would be on 16th January 2022. But when it was time for Mr. Jens Hanning to deliver, the curator received an email from him stating that he had changed the working title of the art to Take the Money and Run. And in his press release, he says initially the idea was to actually show national differences in incomes, but changing the title to Take the Money and Run, he's questioning the rights of artists as well and their working conditions, so that equitable norms can be established in the industry. So more about breaking structures and what have you. Now, the director of the Kunsten Museum of Modern Art said he actually laughed when he saw the piece. But he also says that Jens Hanning hasn't really broken any contract, so he has until 16th January 2022, and then they will take it further from there, basically.
Yeah. No, honestly, I thought it was just
funny.
He finessed
hilarious.
The hell out of them. Like, truly. Let's see if I can fill in some blanks here.
Okay.
So he described himself as a contemporary conceptual artist. He's from Copenhagen, and the thematic line of his work tends to be an acute reflection of the complex and changing Western society. So yeah, he was given the money, decided not to give it to them. And he actually sent 2 empty frames, which would have contained the notes that demonstrate both the Danish and Austrian average annual income. And because it was for a display, an art display, they hung up the empty frames and put on there, this is Jens Hanning's work, took the money and run. So he has been saying that he has no intention of returning the money, but they're like, okay, but then you will then be in violation of your contractual obligations. But his counter argument is that, well, the art is that is the art. Not giving back the money is the artistic statement. So therefore, if I give it to you, I've nullified my creative process. I'm just like, sir.
Listen.
So what made me laugh is like, this is why people think modern art is nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one of those people. I don't feel like art is superfluous, or I'm not one of those people who are they're starving children and we're spending. No, I feel like there is a reason why our ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago, painted on the cave wall, even though they lived in a cave, probably didn't have food to eat, nothing. I think it's part of human nature
Something
to express yourself creatively. I think without it, we would die. I literally do. So I'm not going to be like, you see, this is all nonsense. However, like,
like this is too much.
You are doing the most at this point in time. And also the other thing that the Kunsten Museum said is, look, this is all well and good. They are also artists. They can appreciate the finesse, but they are not a rich museum. Therefore, they cannot afford to just have him run off with their money. So, I guess we'll revisit this when the contract date is due.
Exactly.
Okay.
2022. All right.
Okay, so on to
Two persons. Okay, so to round up the season, I just decided I'll do something slightly different, maybe. And so my 2 persons today is the best thing about you.
Oh.
So I love love. I love seeing people happy. I love people getting along and all that. So what I did was I sent a message to a couple of people who I know are either married or are in relationships, and I asked them to tell me what's the best thing about their partner.
Look at you being an investigative journalist.
Listen, I had to come up with something positive to end the show, right? So I asked them what's the best thing about being with your partner or your wife or your husband or whatever. And so here are the answers that I want to share.
I love this.
Right. So I have in total 9, and I'm just going to go through them. The first one is the best thing about being with my husband is that I have a friend for life. I have someone I can lean on when I'm weak and vulnerable, and that I have a companion to do life with. The second one is being around her and having peace of mind when she's not around. The third one is that many things about me have changed. I now consider myself a better person. 4, the care my husband gives me. 5, love, law. That was a very short one. We said to add the law. Number 6 is companionship. Number 7, she keeps me focused, and the fact that we are both committed to make it work. And this one, he asked that he didn't mind me mentioning his name, so I'm going to do that. This is from Sam Marfo. He's a former colleague of mine. And he says, she makes it fulfilling to be married and completely has my back. Never a doubt I married the right person, and always makes it easy to remain faithful. There is no one I'd rather be.
Okay, big props.
Like, honestly, the way he loves his wife is just beautiful to see. I keep telling him that, you're doing right by her. I mean, you do keep it up. Just be,
love
just
it.
be.
Love it.
And the last one I have is companionship, partnership, support to do life together. So I just thought this is a nice way to round up the season. Love is in the air, and love people and love everybody.
I love it. I love it. And if by the time this comes out, it's probably about to be. It's November. It's going to be cold. It's cuffing season,
right.
So it's time to be booed up.
Oh Lord!
If you can,
if you can. It's so tough with Corona and things. Like you can't really go out on dates or meet people. It's just really
so. Okay, so that was one. I really liked that. That was super cute.
I wish I'd gotten more answers, but that's okay.
Okay, so my 2 Pesewas this week is not the warm and fuzzy approach Eddie took, but in a sense, it did. I also wanted to sort of have a through line between what I did last for the season 3 finale and also this one. So in the season 3 finale, it was Vision 2020, where I went over some statistics of our development goals as outlined in the 1992 Constitution and compared to where we've reached now that we have gone beyond Vision 2020. And so this 2 Pesewas is also going to be statistics based, and I was inspired by 2 things. The first is going to be the title that there's 7 women to every man, and I'll mention the next one in a minute. So over the last year, or maybe since last year, on 3 different occasions, I've had some guy tell me that you do know that there's 7 women to every man, and I'm just like, where did you get that from? Like, where? Obviously, that cannot be possible. I don't know if it's because I did economics long time ago, so I always have this habit of keeping up with like development statistics or whatever. But I'm just like, that is like categorically untrue, and it seems to be a thing that people believe, right? So my first thing was, okay, let me go look this up and figure out why people think that, right? But just so you know, one of the worst gender distribution imbalances we have on the globe right now is China, because they had a one child policy, and because everywhere we live in extreme patriarchal societies, so people would actually kill their baby girls, or get rid of them if they knew they were going to have girls. And that has, I think, was it you or me? One season we talked about them having to import women from Thailand and stuff like that. One season, right? So it's actually a crisis. And that imbalance is only 48% women to 52% men. Okay. So you saying that there's 7 women to every man suggests that there are only 12% men in the world versus 87%. Do you know what the world would look like? You wouldn't be able to see men anywhere. Like there'd be no men anywhere. No. The actual fact is that we are at a good 50-50 split. Right. Globally and in Ghana. Mm-hmm. And the second thing that inspired me to do this, outside of the 7 women to every man thing, which I'm like, can we dead that? Is that there was a headline that went out recently saying that there are 400,000 more women in Ghana than there are men. So I will get to that in a minute. But for those who may not know, the 7 women to every man thing is actually a Bible verse, a Bible quote. It's taken from Isaiah chapter 4, and it references some post-war conditions where all the men killed each other fighting, and there are very few men left, and therefore in those days, 7 women will cling to every man and be like, please marry me and whatever. I'm like, this is not real, right? Like even in that verse, it's a hypothetical situation. Like why you... So anyway, on to this 400,000 thing. Now, of course, people could not just relax and just keep their mouths shut. They decided to retruck out this 7 women thing again, and said, okay, the end times are coming true, where women are not going to be able to find. It always comes you not find a context of marriage. Always. Like 400,000 women are going to, and so those of you who are out there being arrogant or being stubborn or saying that you won't be side chicks or whatever it is, look sharp. If it's second wife, you better get on with it, because there are going to be surplus numbers of you. And I'm like, first of all, 400,000 people is negligible. It is a negligible number. That is not even 1%. That is 0.01% of the 31 million population that we are. Therefore, it's not even a number worth read. It doesn't register anywhere, statistically speaking. It's, as I said, it's a 1/10%. Secondly, why is there a presumption that every woman wants to get married? That number, first of all, some of these people that we're talking about are captured are even children. They didn't do it in tiers and say of marrying age, these are the statistics. This is just the census report, the data, this many men, this many women. You could be 5 years old, you're captured in this thing. So the whole, people were being so dramatic about it.
And this was the headline of a newspaper. I think it was the Chronicle or something. It was just ridiculous.
So 400,000 is nothing. Basically, there's an equal number of men and women, for those who even care in the first place, which, as I said, not everyone does. But so what I thought I would talk about today is the actual implications of there being, as you people want to insist, some of y'all want to insist, more women than men in Ghana. In spite of that, and I said, look, 0.01% is nothing, but since y'all want to be dramatic about it, let's do it. Even though there are more women than men in Ghana, there has never been a female president. There has never been a female vice president since Ghana's inception in 1957. Only 14% of parliamentary seats are held by women. And as you say, there are more women, right? So there should be at least equal share or more women in parliament than otherwise. Only 3.8% of seats on deliberative bodies in local government are held by women. 3%. Three. Okay. Out of 14 chief justices that Ghana has had, only 2 have been women, so that's 14%. And the first was not until 2007, that was Georgina Wood.
Imagine.
Only 23% of Supreme Court judges are women. So again, keep in mind, y'all the ones want to stress about how there are too many women here. Let's get into it. All right. Now, there was also a headline a year or two ago about how 46% of the businesses in Ghana are owned by women. And this was a source of jubilation because apparently that is the highest figure in the world, which is abominable, to be honest. Note that 46% is not half, and it's certainly not the 51 or whatever number you think 400,000 makes it. So women are underrepresented as business owners. And what they didn't say is most of those 46% of businesses tend to be very, very small scale. Yeah. We're talking a kiosk is still a business, right? It's not the, more than 10 employees, large, established businesses. And this reflects that. By contrast, only 33% of women are in managerial positions. So even though, as you say, we own 46% of businesses, only 33% of a business that would require a managerial position in the first place are held by women. And that number drops to in the 20s when you get to senior management positions. So that should tell you something. The employment that we do, which we're still underrepresented there, are small scale industries which are very vulnerable to economic crises and you're just subsisting more or less. But the minute it's a big business, the women start to vanish. Okay. Now, also, this number actually scared me. Only 7.2% of women of pension eligible age are receiving one. 7%. Now, this number is even scary for the men. It's only 21% of men of pensionable age. That means once you get to a certain age, life gets really real. You are screwed. And women are more screwed than anybody else, it seems. So I could go on and on and on and give you statistics about college and university enrollment, how women vanish the higher you get on the education ladder, even though at primary education, women are actually overrepresented. There are more girls in school. At secondary level, they're almost at parity, and they outperform. They tend to outperform their male peers and stuff. But the minute you get higher, they start vanishing. And then once you enter the workforce, vanishing some more. Right. So before you open your mouth, and it's not y'all, I know y'all correct, but your friends, you can share this with your friends, and start just throwing numbers about that you don't really even understand in the first place. And you think it's some joke, or you're going to reduce it to, some of you can't marry, so come and date me on the side. Think about the actual real life implications of such a statistic, that if there are indeed a handful more women than there are men in this country, where are we? Why do we not have a say in this country? Why are we being led only by one gender, being managed by only one gender?
They're doing us no justice.
Thank you.
Absolutely nothing
and
for us.
We have nothing to show for it. Maybe we do need, maybe Ghana would be on a better track if there are more women, So that's my 2 pence. It's not
necessary.
Uplifting.
But very necessary. Very, very, very necessary.
And I won't do something statistical next time.
I think you should. But it's
I feel
right?
I do feel these are important conversations. So that's it. And I actually have some people I want to shout out.
Yes, of course.
There are 4 people who I want to shout out who have in various ways made a serious impact this season related to the podcast. Mostly people who have reached out, people I've connected with because of and through the podcast. So one would be Steph. She sent me a lovely message the other day when I really needed it. And it was a message of support, and I thank you so much for that. Another person is Jay, who has become like, my mom has adopted her. She came to Ghana. We met in person. And this is somebody I only got to know initially because she listens to the podcast. Oh, wow. And now she's a real life friend. And I just want to say shout outs to you, Jay, for all your support, both podcast based and life based and everything. He's a real one. And also Barack, aka Dr. Halidu, who has been a very vocal supporter of ours and it's just all around cool
Oh,
peeps.
yes.
You know who that
Yeah, I
is.
know who that
And
is.
yeah, shout outs to you. And the last person is Bright. So shout outs to you as well for being able to identify me based on podcast related
Yes.
information only. It shows you've been listening.
Right.
And so
Yes.
I really appreciate that
Absolutely.
and thanks. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that
Yeah,
if
we
I didn't mention
all of you.
yes, because we say it all the time. Like I genuinely mean it. This is not no fake YouTuber kind of like I love you guys. No, genuinely, like I don't know if you can ever relate to the feeling of having complete strangers listen to you and tell you that hey, I really love what you're doing. It's the most gratifying feeling in the world, truly, and it's very humbling at the same time because I'm like, who am I for you to be even listening to me and think I make any sense or it's just so. Thank you to everyone that has continued to support us 4 seasons in now. Thank you as well, Eddie.
Oh, thank you too.
I love you.
Okay. All right, we'll see you next season.
Bye. Take care.